Good afternoon. It is 1:30. We are back in session on October 29th for the afternoon. Item number 4 is a public hearing on a resolution to approve Supplemental Appropriation 2525 to the FY25 operating budget, Montgomery County Public Schools National Fish and Wildlife Foundation grant in the amount of $500,000. The source of funds is a federal grant. An Education and Culture Committee work session is scheduled for October 31st, 2024. Those wishing to submit material for the Council's consideration should do so at the close of business today. There are no registered speakers for this hearing, so this public hearing is now closed. We're going to move on to item number 5 on today's agenda, which is a public hearing on a resolution to approve Supplemental Appropriation 2524 to the FY25 operating budget, Montgomery County Public Schools Improving Adolescent Health and Wellbeing Grant, in the amount of $367,500. Source of funds is also a federal grant. An Education and Culture Committee work session is scheduled for October 31st, 2024. Those wishing to submit material for the Council's consideration should do so by the close of business today. Each registered speaker has 3 minutes to speak. You'll hear a tone when your time is up, and we appreciate you abiding by your time. We have one speaker registered. That is Brenda Diaz. If you could join us at the table. And when you are ready, you have 3 minutes, and you just hit the button in front of the seat and the microphone.
Is it on? Okay. With regards to the Improving Adolescent Health and Wellbeing Grant, I would like to ask a few questions. Yes, it is important that we care for our children's mental health considering the rise of depression, substance abuse, and suicidality. However, lost in the details of each stage of this grant is the extent of parental involvement. First, with regard to the collection and use of surveillance data that this funding supports, how is MCPS collecting this data from our children? Will parents be made aware that MCPS will be collecting this data? Will parents have access to the questions being asked on the Youth Risk Behavior Survey beforehand? Will parents have the opportunity to opt their children out of participating in the survey? Considering that the grant will create a referral system to link students to sexual, behavioral, and mental health services, and it is targeting children under the age of 18, will parents be alerted when those referrals take place? Will parents know the full scope and details of the sexual, behavioral, and mental health services being offered to their children? Will parents have the opportunity to opt their children out of receiving referrals and treatment, such as STI screening? A public school's primary mission is to focus on achieving academic excellence for all of their students. This program intends to use time allotted for learning to conduct these services and deliver these services. Considering that these services are usually provided by parents and their families' doctors, how is MCPS justifying taking away from math, history, science, and literature to implement this program when our reading and math scores are so low and we are graduating illiterate and innumerate students? I want to end by saying that if we are truly invested in the mental health of our children and of our county's citizens, that it is time to end the divisive and hateful rhetoric endorsed by county leadership such as Council Member Kristen Mink in her recent post on X. Labeling a once Democrat, recently turned independent candidate for the Board of Education, such as myself, a far-right extremist in what is supposed to be a nonpartisan race, without providing any evidence from my platform or my policy proposals, expose the toxic nature of our county's politics. We are to serve as role models for our children and for our community. Her tit-for-tat exchange with students from Brenda and Diaz,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the intention of this is to be a
where she cited support for my candidacy from the Republican Party as proof of my far-right agenda, shows that Councilmember Mink is unable to reach across the aisle to build coalitions for the sake of improving education. It also showed an inability to discern how to properly engage with our children. Unfortunately, her actions are not as surprising, as she also called Muslim parents and students white supremacists for standing up for their religious freedom,
Diaz,
as it is enshrined in our Constitution. Let us move forward together, embracing all members of our community, Republican, Democrat, and Independent, out of love for our children in order to rebuild the foundation of academic excellence. Thank you.
This is a public hearing. It's not intended to be an opportunity to argue with council members. There are no other people who are registered to testify on this public hearing, so this public hearing is now closed. Item number 6 is a public hearing on a declaration of no further need, long-term lease of a portion of 9701 Main Street located in Damascus, Maryland to Damascus Heritage Society Museum. A Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee work session is scheduled for October 31st, 2024. Those wishing to submit material for the council's consideration should do so by the close of business today. Each registered speaker has 3 minutes to speak. You'll hear a tone when your time is up, and we appreciate everyone abiding by their allotted time. We have one registered speaker, Warren Knox Fleming. Is Warren Knox Fleming here? Is virtual? I don't see. We're going to give a minute to see if we can get our speaker. Can we hear him?
Mr. Fleming, can you hear us? Doesn't look like it, sorry.
I'm going to suggest that we move on to our proclamation. If we do get Mr. Fleming online, we can come back, and I'll leave the public hearing open for the time being. And we can come back and we can take his testimony at that time. So we are going to move to the next item on our agenda, which is a presentation and proclamation recognizing Energy Action Month by Council Members Glass, Balcom, and Vice President Stewart, also known as the Transportation and Environment Committee. Those individuals who are here for Energy Action Month, welcome.
Come on down. If you're here for Energy Action Month, don't be shy. All of our friends at DEP, all of our nonprofit and private sector partners, come on in. Before we get started, let everybody introduce themselves.
My name is Thao Trần. I'm the Executive Director of Vietnamese American Services. We are a grantee from Department of Environment Protection. Thank you.
My name is James Conlon. I'm the founder and owner of Elysian Energy, the county's electrification contractor.
John Monger, and I'm the Director of the Department of Environmental Protection.
Hi, Jeremy Good, Department of Environmental Protection.
Larissa Johnson, Residential Energy Program Manager for the Department of Environmental Protection.
Hello, my name is Tanaya McDuffie. I am the Director of Communications and Community Engagement at the Montgomery County Green Bank.
I'm Leah Rusi, Operations Manager for Washington Metro Oasis. We are a nonprofit serving seniors in Montgomery County.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Shaw. Hi, Lindsay Shaw. I'm with the Department of Environmental Protection. I'm the Section Chief for Buildings and Transportation Programs.
Hi, Sarah Kogel-Smucker, Climate Change Officer for the county.
We'll give it up to our green team who are helping to, a lot of work that goes unnoticed, but is more crucial than ever, which is why the Transportation and Environment Committee members are proudly standing here alongside each and every one of you to make sure that we continue making progress on our green energy goals, which, as we all know, is to reduce the climate emissions from Montgomery County by 80%. By the year 2027 and completely eliminate greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2035. We got a lot more work to do, but with this team, with this council, and with the county executive, I know that we can make an impact and bend that curve for not only all of us who are here currently on the planet, but for our kids and our grandkids so that they have a place to call home too. With that, I'll turn it over to Council Vice President Stewart.
Thank you, Councilmember Glass, and everyone who's here today for the proclamation. I wanted to focus my comments on the health impacts and to say that this I think it was this past fall, Councilmember Lukey and I joined AIM Action in Montgomery to do testing in some apartments of NO2, of nitrogen dioxide, which is the gas given off from our gas stoves, and to see the rates that they were at in these apartment buildings. And what we found is fairly high rates, and that impacts the entire family, but particularly young people who have asthma and respiratory issues. And so on this day, when we're talking about energy and energy awareness and moving towards clean energy, I wanted to lift up not only our climate goals, as Chair Glass did, and think about how we're working towards that, this is also an economic issue for us here in the county, but fundamentally it's also a health issue for our families. And in the county, we're doing a great deal of work and want to raise up the Electrify MC pilot program that is now, you can get on the DEP's website and find out more about it and how we can assist people in electrifying in their homes. So thank you for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. Marilyn Balcom. I'm council member for District 2. Thank you all for coming. I want to thank Chair Glass for his leadership in this area now and in the past, and also to our DEP team for the work they do, and our nonprofits that are here for the work that you've been doing for a very, very long time. If we're going to meet our climate goals, 2035 climate goals, we have to change the way we live. Governments, businesses, nonprofits, and we as individuals have to make changes. But we don't have to do it alone. We have support. The county and the state have programs not only to save energy, but to save money. And so you can, if you Google Montgomery County Lower My Bill, that's Montgomery County Lower My Bill, you'll get a page of links of how to save energy, what actions you can take, what actions we can all take. That leads you to the state site, Empower Maryland. Empower Maryland. Thank you. I wrote it down. I should have looked. And there's so many actions that we can take, whether it's large actions like converting to an EV, putting solar panels on your roof, carpooling to lunch, which we did, which we just did, or just simply turning the lights off when you leave. There are so many things, big and small, that we can do, and we're all in it together. So thank you. What's that number one more time? Montgomery County Lower My Bill.
Lower My Bill. Again, this is a team effort, and proud to serve with Council Vice President Stewart and Councilmember Balcom on the Transportation and Environment Committee. We've been doing a lot of regulatory review over this last calendar year, and one of the people who has spent a lot of time before our committee is our climate officer, and now I'd like to invite Ms. Kogel-Smucker to make some comments for the county executive and DEP and everybody doing this hard work.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you, Chair Glass, and thank you to the council members and for your leadership on this issue, and to my DEP colleagues. I'm Sarah Kogel-Smucker, the Climate Change Officer for the county, and I'm here on behalf of the county executive who wanted to be here but unfortunately couldn't make it. I want to underscore the actions that have already been mentioned, the small ones from turning off the lights when you leave the room to bigger ones like starting to plan to change fossil fuel burning gas appliances to cleaner electric appliances when it's time to replace them. These are climate actions that we all need to take because 50% of the county's climate change pollution comes from buildings. So if you live or work in a building, you have a chance today and over the next few weeks to take critical climate action for cleaning the air, indoor and outdoor, protecting our planet, and ensuring that we are able to combat climate change. So underscore the resources the county has available, the excellent resources at Montgomery Energy Connection, and resources like the expedited solar permitting that our Department of Permitting Services has put in place. So we're here to help, but we all need to do this together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to accentuate the point, approximately 52% of our carbon emissions in Montgomery County come from our buildings, and 42% come from our transportation sector. So the T&E committee is getting it done. Now I'd like to invite Director Munger to make some comments on behalf of DEP.
Thank you, Chair Glass, and I want to thank the entire amazing team that you see behind me here. This is none of us do anything alone here when you're working on environmental protection or climate progress. So I really want to thank the County Council, the County Executive, the terrific County Climate Change Officer of the county, and the rockstar DEP team you see assembled behind us. I wish everyone in this county knew how lucky they were to have this team working on your behalf, because we're not just doing this because it's the right thing to do. We're not just doing it because it's the right thing for our environment. As council members said, we're doing this because it's a good thing for the health of our communities, the health of our families, and it's good for your pocketbook. So like the climate change officer said, take action this month. That's why we're all here. We're talking about what we can all do to take action to improve energy in our own homes. Councilmember Balcom mentioned the Empower Maryland program. You can get a free home energy checkup that can save you serious cash with just a few clicks or a phone call. The Department of Environmental Protection has a whole slew of resources on our website. If you don't know where to start, please, please, please reach out to us, anybody on this team, myself, all of the resources available online to help you get started. I also want to thank the county's Green Bank, who's represented here today as well, which is a terrific asset we have in Montgomery County that helps us take steps big and small to move the needle on climate change and energy. And I also want to thank, we've got terrific partners here who are working on some of our innovative grant programs. We've got the Vietnamese American Service Center, Habitat for Humanity Metro Maryland, Interfaith Works, as well as Building Change and Elysian Energy. And we've also got so many more that are watching online. So thank you so much, Chair Glass, and looking forward to all the energy action ahead.
Thank you very much, Director Munger. And so the action we are now immediately going to take is the reading of the proclamation. Whereas Montgomery County is a nationwide climate leader with goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 80% by 2027 and 100% by 2035, and
whereas the Department of Environmental Protection is focused on lowering energy usage in the county through four main pillars: conservation, efficiency, electrification, and renewable energy, and
whereas our commitment to building a sustainable future is exemplified through our Climate Action Plan and other programs to help residents make their homes more energy efficient. This includes allocated $1.5 million in grants for pre-weatherization and electrification projects that benefit our community's low and moderate income residents, paving the way for more projects that reduce reliance on fossil fuels and improve indoor quality. And
whereas by collaborating with nonprofit organizations, industry sectors, environmental advocates, and government partners in Annapolis and Washington, Montgomery County has been a model for local governments across the country on how to foster a cleaner energy future. And
whereas through coordinated efforts and community engagement, we can achieve significant energy savings and emission reductions, contributing to a more sustainable, healthy, and prosperous Montgomery County. And bring it home. Bring it. You can bring it home. Good chair. Bring it home. Bring it home.
We're continuing to share. Now, therefore, be it resolved that County Executive Mark Elrich and the entire Montgomery County hereby recognize October 24, 2024 as Energy Action Month. And be it further resolved that the Council encourages all residents and businesses to join us in taking meaningful action towards energy efficiency and electrification. By working together, we can deliver tangible results in the form of green jobs, robust economic development, enhanced energy independence, and ultimately, a healthier planet and a better quality of life for everyone in our community. Presented on this day by the T&E Committee, all council colleagues, and County Executive Mark Elrich. Thank you. Who wants it?
All right, now we see you, Mr. Fleming. The public hearing is still open, and I am going to turn it over to Mr. Fleming. And when you are ready on this item, which is the declaration of no further need, long-term lease of a portion of 9701 Main Street located in Damascus, Maryland, to Damascus Heritage Society Museum, I will turn it over to you. Mr. Fleming, when you're ready, you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Warren Fleming, 9909 Founders Way in Damascus, Maryland. I am representing the Damascus Heritage Society as their government affairs liaison. In 2003, I, along with my uncle Harvey Ziegler, entertained an idea to turn Inez Maccabee's home into an African American museum. The purpose of this museum was to capture the history of the freed slaves that settled on Hosey Road after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. The home of Inez Maccabee was built by slaves and was moved from the plantation to Hosey Road. The museum would be managed by a family organization called the Damascus Connection Committee. I contacted our state senator, Verona Kramer, in 2003, along with Karen Montgomery, to see if they would be interested in this project. I received positive feedback from them and others, and this news was published in the local newspapers. Shortly after the article was published, we were contacted by a local business called the Damascus Alliance Group. The purpose of them contacting us was to set up a meeting to hear more about the museum project. During this meeting, we were asked if the Damascus Alliance Group could join forces with our group to form a township museum that would preserve both the African American and Anglo-Saxon history. It had been known that the members of Damascus had tried to get a museum in the past, but was unsuccessful. The Damascus Connection Committee and the Damascus Alliance conducted follow-up meetings, and it was decided that this concept would be the first time in history that an African-American firm and an Anglo-Saxon firm would join forces to work together in the township of Damascus to bring unity in the community. In 2004, I pitched this concept to our local, state, government agencies and received positive feedback. The decision was made by the Damascus Alliance Group and our group to form a nonprofit organization called the Damascus Heritage Society, featuring a museum. In March of 2000, 20 years later, with the help of our board members and the county council and members, and we have now went from an ideal to a full-scale museum that we have created over 40 different exhibits and entertained over thousands of visitors. During the Damascus Festival, the 19th and 20th this year, it was clear that the Damascus is changing, and the Damascus Heritage Society is on the forefront of bringing our community together through museums and exhibits and partnering with local businesses and government. The approval of this lease will allow us to continue our mission in preserving the history of Damascus.
Thank you for your testimony. There are no other speakers for this public hearing, so this public hearing is now closed. We are going to move on to item 7 on our agenda, which is action on the fiscal year 26 WSSC spending control limits. And I believe we have some members of the WSSC Commission who are here, and Mr. Levchenko will call you up to the table, and I will turn it over to Councilmember Glass to give us a readout of the committee's report.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I want to acknowledge and thank Chair Foster and Commissioner Bayonet for their service. I don't see Mr. Powell here, but thank all three of you for your leadership on this board in service to the community. The Transportation and Environment Committee held 2 different work sessions on October 7th and on October 21st to discuss the FY26 WSSC water spending control limits and to discuss the various scenarios moving forward. What we heard during those 2 discussions was a number of issues. First, a vast majority of WSSC's water meters require on-site meter reading. That's about 470,000 meters that are read manually. We also learned that there are a total of a little more than 500,000 meters, and that the average lifespan of those meters is 17 years old. And for context, a meter's estimated lifespan is between 15 and 20 years. So they are all falling right in the middle of their estimated lifespan. And so in an effort to catch up with regional partners to eliminate dangerous workplaces where individuals who work for WSSC have been injured and killed while reading meters, to eliminate lead pipes and to update our infrastructure more generally, we had a discussion about what potential rate increases should be. The committee all agrees that there needs to be additional investment to make sure that our drinking water remains safe and clean. The WSSC rate limits must be approved by the leadership of Montgomery County and Prince George's County. In a run-up to this conversation, I had a personal conversation with Prince George's Council member Eric Olson, who chairs the Committee of Jurisdiction on the Prince George's Council. And then the county executive also sent over his recommendation as well. And all of this provided for more information for the scenarios for the rate limits. In the end, on the second day of our work session, we had a split vote of 2-1, whereby the committee recommended a 10.2% water rate increase limit. I was the dissenting vote, and the reason I supported a lower rate was not because of the need being less. It was because I recognized there were other dynamics, such as trying to find a common place between Montgomery's County Executive, Prince George's County Executive, and the Prince George's Council, in addition to the 11 members of this body. The goal of the spending control limit process is to find a number to reconcile by November 1st so that WSSC can build upon those limits and controls to develop their next year's operating budget, which will be released for public comment by January 15th. That is the time frame we are under, and that is the reason for those time frames. And so now I invite my colleagues from the committee who had a different opinion than mine to make so comments if they so wish.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to T&E colleagues here in a moment. I did want to turn to Mr. Levchenko and council staff just to give an update, because the Prince George's County Council did meet this morning to discuss this item, and there is a difference of opinion, and we do ultimately have to come to an agreement. So if you could just walk through that process, then I'll turn it to the committee colleagues, and then we can open it up for a broader discussion. But for the interest of the body to be aware of where things currently stand between the committee session and this moment.
Yeah, sure. About an hour and a half ago, the Prince George's Council met on this very same issue. They did not have a committee recommendation up to that point, so we didn't have the benefit of where we were, where we did have a committee recommendation and discussion. They discussed and ultimately acted on a 9% rate increase. We don't actually have that full scenario mapped out in our packet. We had 8.5, 9.5, 10.2 in the base case. So we don't have full details regarding the impacts of that, but that is what their council has done to date. So in terms of going forward, in most cases in the last 20 years, both councils have agreed on the limits. That's ideally what we want to do. But there have been some years where there's not been agreement. In that case, it's still helpful for WSSC Water because they still have limits from the two councils, and they're not going to exceed certainly the higher of the limits going forward. So it still achieves the benefit of the councils not being surprised by particularly unusual budget coming out in January for their public hearing document. So we can certainly continue to work with Prince George's to try to come to a final consensus. The deadline, which is self-imposed by the two councils by resolution, is November 1st, but that's not a legislative deadline or a legal deadline. So certainly the two councils are free to work within what's comfortable for them to come to some final resolution. I don't know where the Prince George's Council is in terms of whether what they did today reflects their sort of final answer, if you will, or if they are open to further dialogue with us going forward. So we don't know that yet.
Thank you. I'll note that I have been in touch with my counterpart throughout yesterday and today. I think the goal ultimately would be for us to be able to reach in agreement. They were at a lower number. We are at a higher number. I'll turn to colleagues and allow them to share their feedback. But ultimately, I think it sends the clearest signal to WSSC if we have a uniform and unified number that we can land on, assuming that we can get to that point. With that, let me turn it first to Council Vice President Stewart and then to Councilmember Balcom.
Great. Thank you. Thank you to Chair Glass for laying that out, and Mr. Lachenko. Just to reiterate, where we started this process is that WSSC request was 12.2%. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. And the full presentation they gave to the Transportation and Environment Committee in the two sessions that we spent discussing this, they really laid out the case for why they were asking for that rate increase. And I just want to say thank you to the WSSC staff for all their work on this. It was a very compelling presentation regarding the infrastructure needs, and also just for my colleagues who are not on the committee, a look at historically the request from WSSC for the rate increase and what has been allowed and the gap that has grown over time, and how that has compounded the gap that we see now in terms of meeting the need. I know many of us hear from our residents when it comes to failing infrastructure and concerns they have about WSSC. I do want to say thank you to General Manager Powell. I've been working on WSSC issues for many, many years. And I will say, since she has taken over the helm, there has been a marked change in the responsiveness of WSSC. But that responsiveness can only go so far if they are not provided the resources in which to keep up with the needed infrastructure changes. And I really appreciate Mr. Lachenko for the work you did. The reason I landed on the 10.2 was because, as it said in the staff packet, it provides the most predictable and stable increases to consumers versus a larger upfront cost later on in fiscal years. In addition to that, it also looks at the bond rating for WSSC and making sure that they are able to keep their AAA bond rating and that that's not in jeopardy in the future. I did note, though, and we were in committee session, understanding that this is a conversation that happens across 2 county executives, 2 county councils, and we do need to come to some agreement. And so I do appreciate the practical nature of the chair's vote to go to 9.5, and understand if that is where we have to land. But I just wanted to give my reasons for why I voted for the 10.2. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Balcom.
Thank you. It's always good to be sitting next to the chair of GO when we're talking about fiscal impact. So I want to thank WSSC for having 2 sessions, both of which were very detailed and compelling. I also want to thank Mr. Levchenko for providing us with the scenarios. We were presented with a 12.2 budget, and we wanted to have more information on what if we went less and how less. So in the packet there are several scenarios. The reason that I went with the 10.2 is that there are significant needs, of course operating, but capital needs as well. We must convert to smart meters. We must convert to monthly billing. It's in this day and age, when you think about manual meter readers, we're not up with the times here, and we need to make that change. We also need to look at the infrastructure overall. This is one of the systems that, when we think about what government must do, providing safe water is one of those things, safe, reliable water. And our infrastructure is aging, and we don't know when problems are going to occur until we have a burst pipe or a leaking pipe. And so we need to be proactive, and it's expensive. And as Council Vice President said, through the years, when we looked at one of the things that was the most impactful for me is when we looked at the history of rate increases for WSSC and what they asked for and what they were provided, and the significant gap year after year after year. But also when we look at the other utility rate increases year after year compared to the rate increases that we've provided for WSSC. It's a pay me now, pay me later concept. If we don't provide them with the resources they need now, we're going to have continual rate increases year after year after year, significant. So those are some of my reasons. I know it's a complex issue, and it's an issue that impacts every resident who is on our WSSC water system. So I understand that that we are making a decision along with our colleagues in Prince George's. We're making this impact that does decision that impacts most households. So that's where I landed. Thank you.
Thank you. We have some colleagues in the queue in addition to the committee members. Let me turn it to Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just going to go straight to the point. I was very confident to come in and go with a committee recommendation, the majority, of 10.2%. I chair COGS, Chesapeake Bay and Water Quality Committee, so I have lots of meetings with regional leaders, including WSSC, and the infrastructure challenges that we have are a huge concern. And so I thought it was the way to do it. But as it was addressed already, this is a bi-county decision. And therefore, I need to go with a 9.5%. I think it's a mistake. And I just want to put that on the record because the more you keep delaying things, the greater the problem is going to be. And it's not useful. But again, this is not just a Montgomery County decision, so I'm going to have to support the 9.5 to agree with Prince George's County. So,
are you making a motion?
Sure. Yes, I'm making a motion to support the 9.1% rate increase.
Second.
9.5%. Yeah.
9.5%. It's been moved by Councilmember Fani Gonzalez. It's been seconded by Councilmember Sales. There are additional colleagues in the queue, so let me turn it over now to Councilmember Lukey.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I certainly respect the full discussion that has been happening here today. But you know, in my analysis of this too, and in setting this spending affordability limit, you know, and looking, you can look at the chart and you can look at the out years, and yet it doesn't guarantee that it's going to be that way in the out years anyhow. And so there have been significant efforts to try and bridge gaps for WSSC over time, and we do need to be mindful of that because it is critical infrastructure that we have to maintain, right? But right now, we're just setting the spending affordability limit, and I think that in doing that, and especially knowing our Prince George's colleagues are not up to where we were either in the majority or minority vote at the committee, you know, that in looking at this in its totality, that I support the motion just made by Councilmember Fani Gonzalez to move to approve the 9.5 as the spending affordability limit, and firmly commit to us reviewing and understanding the needs of the organization overall. And perhaps we might have to have deeper discussions with our colleagues in Prince George's County over extended periods of time as we work through this, rather than once a year looking at this and setting a spend affordability limit. I think, you know, to everyone's points up here, our residents deserve that. The residents of both counties deserve that. And so that would be my ask moving forward, but I will support the motion on the floor.
Okay, Councilmember Eduardo.
Thank you. Appreciate the conversation. It kind of reminds me as my education and culture chair hat, like, you know, we're going to pay now, we're going to pay later. And we have great needs in a lot of places, including in our schools. But infrastructure is super important. I would tend to lean towards the committee recommendation and then hold WSSC and the commissioners. We have several in the audience here, their feet to the fire on the lower rates in the outgoing years. It always costs more to fix a problem later than it does to fix it now. And so I agree with colleagues that have said those comments, realizing that even the committee recommendation was 2% less than what was requested, which I know will probably, even if you gave what you requested, you couldn't do everything you needed to do right now. And I see WSSC folks nodding. So I likely won't support the motion, but I am curious. I want to ask Mr. Levchenko, as part of the presentation this morning with Prince George's County, I'm conscious of the by-county nature of this process. We've done several times. They were briefed, I'm assuming, on our committee's action as part of their process?
Yeah, because our committee did come to a recommendation last week. They had the benefit of that as part of their staff report and discussion today. That was a fairly brief discussion today. They had briefings with WSSC Water earlier in the month, just like we did.
And they settled at 9%, you said?
Yeah, they settled at 9. Yeah, there was some discussion actually of 8.5 as well, but they ended up at 9.
That was
just to add some clarity, I was in contact with their council chair, Councilmember Ivy, and they wanted to be at 8.5. I suggested that it didn't seem likely that this body would go anywhere below 9, and it would be concerning to some, as we're hearing today, to go to 9.5. Ultimately, they came up to 9. Was the decision that they made. We have a motion on the floor now for 9.5. There is still a gap between where we would be if this motion carries and where they are. And there is a question that we can get to after we take action on this of where that leaves us. It makes the gap narrower, which is a narrower band of guidance provided to WSSC, but it is not clear, specific guidance of the number that they need to be at.
I appreciate the clarification. That's kind of where I was going. Where did they come up or down? It sounds like they came up. And so in light of that, I think we do have to, work with them. But I would say, I think similar to some previous colleagues, that I would agree that going too low is not a good thing. We need this infrastructure is needed. We hear about it a lot in a lot of other debates that we're having about the need for infrastructure. So I appreciate the information, and that's where I am right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Robert Haas.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments from all of my colleagues. I agree that we are going to have to relook at this entire process, because this doesn't, we're negotiating from the dais here, and that does not feel appropriate at all, given the magnitude of what we're talking about. It's when you look at the list of what won't be funded, just based on half a percentage point, it's very concerning. So, and the fact that there wasn't a committee recommendation from our colleagues put us at a disadvantage as well, because then there could have been more deliberation and discussion before taking this action. So I understand we have a self-imposed deadline of November 1st, but if that were extended, Mr. Levchenko, what would that look like? How would that happen?
Well, certainly both councils they created this process, and they can modify it this year if they both desire. Like I said, we're not sure where the Prince George's Council would be if we asked them to negotiate further or not. But the November 1 deadline is a self-imposed deadline, not a mandated legal legislative deadline. So could we go into November? Yes, we could.
I appreciate that. And I'm having a flashback to testimony given by WSSC regarding some of the failing water systems in other counties and in other states across the country, which are catastrophic in nature. And I'm not suggesting that we are at that point, but every investment we don't make gets us closer to that point. And so in light of the fact that we're still recommending almost 2% less than what was originally proposed, I will support the committee recommendation at 10.2, because I still think that doesn't get us where we ultimately need to be, and I'm deeply concerned if we go lower than that.
Councilman Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I've said on various at various times in various committee work, if we don't give people their resources, we cannot expect them to be able to do their job. And that goes for this topic and many, many other topics. And what we do in some cases is to say, we're not going to do this for you, but you got to do your job. And we can't do that. I believe that the committee report, the committee suggestion, the committee's recommendation is the right number. I think that if we could go back and have the discussion with our friends from Prince George's County, that if they would move their number up, I certainly would consider their thoughts as well. But at this point, I'm going to vote for the committee recommendation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, just to be clear, you would, for colleagues who have said that they would support the committee recommendation, that means voting no on the motion. The committee recommendation is not before the body. Just to be clear, it's perfectly reasonable to state your preferences, but the vote before the body. I just point of clarification, just since the question of where Prince George's was, there was a contingent within Prince George's that wanted 7.5. There was a consensus among others that wanted 8.5. Ultimately, because of the committee recommendation, they came up to 9. I think we may have some challenges if the goal is to come to in agreement to get them to come up from 9, much less up above 9.5. So I just want to note that we do have options, in terms of if we don't land on the same number, and there is time, we giveth and we can taketh in terms of our own process here. This is guidance, so we can vote on the number and then negotiate and come back and come back to that if we approve 9.5 today or approve another number. I just wanted to note that for clarification. Let me turn to Councilmember Menk.
I have real concerns about the infrastructure needs that are ahead of us. So I think that we would benefit from additional time to negotiate. So, I'm not going to support this motion, and open to whether colleagues want to move forward and take a vote on the committee recommendation or not. But I think that regardless, I think we should use the opportunity and the time that we have to negotiate some more with Prince George's.
Appreciate it. So it's really kind of a distinction without a difference here, since we're bi-county, but we could take a straw vote today to determine what our number is for the purpose of discussion. We do have to have a consensus, and I think a straw vote would be the best option to demonstrate what our consensus is, and then we can see if we are able to negotiate and come to an agreement. There's a chance we don't come to an agreement. And we'll have to address that when we come back in 2 weeks. But I believe we should take a straw vote. We do have a motion before us. We'll vote on the motion, and then we'll take a straw vote to come to a consensus of where this body is currently, and then ultimately we will continue the conversation with our bi-county partners beyond the November 1st self-imposed deadline. Come back in 2 weeks if there is an opportunity to do so for consideration, or at least for a report out of where things are, if there isn't something before us that we're able to come to an agreement on. With that, we have a motion and a second at a 9.5% rate. All those in favor of the 9.5% rate, please indicate by raising your hand. That is 4. Five? 5, excuse me. 5, sorry. All those opposed? That is 6. The opposition carries. We still have a committee motion before us. Unless there is an alternative motion, I'll turn it over to the chair of the committee, Councilmember Glass.
Thank you, colleagues. I think this is the most conversation in my 6 years on the council that we have had about WSSC's rate limits. It's a really important conversation because, quite frankly, we should not be injecting politics into this. This is about safe, clean drinking water. And we, as has been noted, we've seen what happens when other communities around the country disinvest in their infrastructure. By no means is 9.5, let me put it a different way. 9.5 is a meaningful investment. It is not everything that WSSC has wanted. And clearly, we have to work with our neighbor to the east to figure out where we land. One of the other aspects that I think is really important and noteworthy for this conversation, WSSC is a state-mandated agency. I have been in conversations with some folks in the General Assembly and expect there to be some state legislation to update the mechanisms by which WSSC operates, not only within the governmental sphere, but more likely with the community. Having heard community concerns from colleagues, we all know it. We see it in our inboxes and in texts. And so this is a conversation that will continue in some form or fashion in Annapolis this year. With respect to the vote that is before us, just ask for clarification from the council president. I don't know if it matters if it's straw or binding, because either way we can come back to it. But what's most important is that we signal to our colleagues in Prince George's that we need infrastructure and we need to pay for that infrastructure. So in light of the majority not supporting the 9.5, there is no other option than to support the committee recommendation, because supporting nothing supports nothing. I yield back.
Appreciate that. If there could be a motion for another number, I don't see any at this time. So the committee's recommendation is the recommendation that is before the body. There is a balance here of accountability, which has been a challenge, and infrastructure investment. And that is always the ongoing challenge. I will also note that these aren't just abstract numbers to fund investments. These are ratepayer dollars, which is essentially a tax on residents. And there is understandable sensitivity among our Prince George's County colleagues about what that means to residents. And so I've also had similar conversations with colleagues in the General Assembly. I understand there are some efforts to increase accountability. I think we need a lot more of it and would like to see it, and I'm very supportive of those efforts. I also not lost on me the impact that these decisions make on the residents who we're here to represent and to serve. With that, we have a committee recommendation that is before the body. All those in favor of the committee recommendation, a 10.2% increase, please indicate by raising your hand. That is 10. All those opposed, 1. So the committee recommendation carries at 10.2. I will discuss with the Prince George's County counterparts in the intervening 2 weeks. Staff will have discussions as well. And if there is an opportunity for us to come together on a consensus number between 9 and 10.2, we'll bring that before the body in 2 weeks' time.
Just one clarification, was the action today action on the resolution, or was it a straw vote that you were pursuing? As Councilmember Glass said, we can end up at the same place either way, but just for purposes of processing what we've done today, I just want to confirm which approach the council wants to take.
Straw vote. So either way, we intend to come back in 2 weeks to report out that we couldn't come to an agreement or to bring before the body a compromise. At that time, we will formally vote on the resolution. It will either be to affirm the decision we've made today or to come back with a compromise number if there is an agreement in the intervening 2 weeks.
So we will assume final action in a couple weeks.
Correct.
Either at what you did today or an alternative that's been negotiated with Prince
Yeah, and in the
George's.
interest of transparency, that will force us to come back to either read out, what has resulted from those conversations, or to come back with a compromise number. Colleagues in agreement? All right, without objection, that is the approach we are going to take. So we have a straw vote on WSSC, and we will return here in 2 weeks to finalize the resolution after conversations with our bi-county counterparts. With appreciation to staff and to members of WSSC for being here for the conversation, we're going to move on to item 8 on the council agenda, which is district council session. The council is sitting as the district council session to announce that a public hearing on the sectional map amendment H125 to implement the approved and adopted Tacoma Park Minor Master Plan Amendment will be held on December 3rd, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. in the council hearing room at the council office building. I know it's an important date circled to my colleague, Vice President Stewart, and the Tacoma Park District Council members' calendar, so we will all note that as well. I don't think there's any staff to add information on that. As I mentioned earlier this morning, item 9, an update on the attainable housing strategies, has been rescheduled to November 19th to allow for staff to aggregate all of the feedback that we have received and summarize it and for us to move forward. So we will come back to that on November 19th in 3 weeks' time. And we have a presentation, our final item, a proclamation recognizing Art on the Wall, celebrating Montgomery College student artists. I'm not sure if all of our guests are here yet. They are here? Great. They are here in the back. Okay, perfect. All right, so we are going to move on to Art on the Wall's proclamation, and I am going to be joined by the chair of the Education and Culture Committee to present this proclamation to our guests, and we will invite them up at this time. welcome. Come on down. I'll just note for Susan Madden, if you could report to the president that I wore my purple tie for this very important occasion. If you could report in for me, I would appreciate it. Very excited to join here for a special occasion for us here at the council for our Art on the Walls proclamation. Our Council Art on the Walls committee began during the summer of 2022 to bring vibrant and interesting art to the council office building, a building that frankly could use a little bit of lipstick on the walls, so to speak, and to really allow for our employees, our visitors to come to this public building and enjoy seeing this building come to life with the inspiration and the talent and the creativity from some extraordinary artists at Montgomery College. The council created a successful partnership with the best community college in America. And together with Montgomery College, we have made this vision a reality. Last year, the council welcomed various works of art created by Montgomery College art students to display in the conference rooms and hallways of the 4th and the 6th floors. And I will tell you, there's not a single meeting that we have here at the council office building where a guest and an attendee of the meeting doesn't remark on how great the art is. And it gives us an opportunity to talk about and to celebrate our Montgomery College art students. So it is not just about bringing this building to life and bringing energy to this public workspace. It's also about having an opportunity to start a conversation about all the amazing things that are happening on our Montgomery College campuses. Moreover, the 5th floor will receive artwork from Montgomery College art alumni this year. So not just what we did last year, we're building on that this year. The theme this year is going to be the beauty of Montgomery County farms. And so we're really going to celebrate our agricultural heritage here in Montgomery County. And we'll have approximately 90 pieces of artwork created by Montgomery College students and displayed on the 4th and 6th floors, and alumni on our 5th floor as well. I wanted to note and acknowledge our former executive director, Marlene Michelson, who spearheaded this effort originally and helped to create it, and wanted to thank and express appreciation on behalf of the whole council for the members of the Art on the Walls and Beyond committee here at the council. Lori Edberg, who serves as chair, Costas Terregas, who serves as co-chair, Kristen Tribble, Shannon Sicard, Lucia Jimenez, Angela Gear, Michelle Whitaker, Susan Farag, Elisa Bowden, and Leslie Rubin. Thank you to our committee for all of your work, and I want to turn it over now to the chair of the Education and Culture Committee, Councilmember Joanna.
Thank you so much, President Friedson. And I have a good up-to-date report. Like our last session, we got breaking news. The 5th floor art is up. I saw it, and it's really good. I want to thank the committee. One of the honors I've had serving on the Education and Culture Committee, which has oversight over our arts organizations, is during the pandemic, we really stepped up our commitment and maintained our commitment to public art. It was something that when you see a piece of great art from one of these amazing artists at the best community college in the country, we'll say that again, it picks up your spirit. It makes you think about things in a new way. It challenges you sometimes. And art is so important. And I'm proud to live in a county that has valued that. We stepped up and helped our artists and residents with grants and during the pandemic. We've had a public art program here in the council building, and there's often a mad scramble when we get our offices to get the best pieces for our internal offices. But it's great now that these will all be in the public halls of the council as well. So just want to thank you guys. You did a great job. It looks really awesome, and we're just so proud to be able to support it. So I'll turn it back over to the council president.
We have some amazing guests, and so as a point of personal privilege, I want to give every guest an opportunity just to your name and your affiliation here with Montgomery College.
My name's Carly and I'm a student.
My name's Elizabeth and I'm a student. My name is Alex and I'm a student.
My name is Layla Johnson and I'm a student.
I'm Professor Brian Tillman for illustration.
Terry Quill, I'm a student.
Ashley Cho, I'm a student. I'm Liz Melanson, I teach art history.
Grace Graham, I teach photography and art history.
I'm Sarah Campbell, I'm the Interim Vice President for Liberal Arts and Education.
I'm Dr. Frank Cheza, I'm the college-wide dean for the Visual, Performing, and Media Arts.
Dr. Deidre Price, Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and College Provost.
Tendai Johnson, Chair, Art Department.
Katie Hubley, Chair of Media Arts.
John Hoover, I work in the photography department as the instructional coordinator.
Natalia Garcia, I'm a student.
Ulrich Yaboa, and I'm a student.
Sophia Molana, and I'm a student.
I'm John Diamond, and I manage the Community Arts Program, which is the biggest non-credit arts program in the state.
I'm Shirley Dan Washington. I'm a student, and I'm a 6-time graduate of Montgomery College with honors.
Priscilla Mutinga, I'm a student.
I'm Rudy Zuniga, I'm a student.
I'm Melanie Carpio, I'm a student.
Tucker Breyer, I am also a student.
Amazing. Let's hear it for them. When we say Montgomery College is Montgomery County, this is what we mean. And thank you to all of our educators. Thank you to all of our faculty, and especially thank you to all of our students who really do represent the best of what we have here in Montgomery County. Before we read the proclamation, I did want to invite Dr. Deidre Price to say a few words.
Thank you. I just want to express thanks and gratitude from Montgomery College for the partnership that we have to put art on these walls. We are in the business of elevating and amplifying student voices, and so it's such a privilege to be able to do that through arts in this space. The work that we have in common with the County Council is that we transform people's lives forever, and we do it again and again and again every single day. And so art is one of those ways where when we look at it, we are listening, we are hearing new stories, and we are seeing the beauty of expression of diversity in our community. And I could not be prouder of our team that's able to open doors and spaces for students to do this every single day. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank some members of our team, Liz Melanson and also John Hoover, who are responsible for the work that you'll see today. And we're so excited to get to tour the spaces and see some of the output of their efforts. But thank you again. So happy to be here. And truly, it's an opportunity just to celebrate every single moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Here at the County Council, we don't give voices to people. Everybody already has their own voice, but sometimes you need a platform and you need a microphone. And that's what these walls are providing to amazing artists who already have all of their own talent, have learned so much from Montgomery College, have brought so much to Montgomery County, and we're just happy to be able to provide a platform to showcase their talent and their artwork here at the council office building. So with that, I'm going to be joined by Chair Jawando, and we're going to read the proclamation. Whereas Montgomery College and the Montgomery County Council have collaborated over the years to provide spaces for students from Montgomery College's art department to display their wonderful artwork for the public to enjoy. And
whereas this year we celebrate the 3rd anniversary of Art on the Walls program to celebrate the vibrant, expressive, and captivating artwork of the college's students. And
whereas in 2024, approximately 90 Montgomery College students submitted artwork in print, paint, and photography to uplift the County Council building. All submissions were carefully reviewed by artists in Montgomery College's art department. And
whereas today we congratulate and celebrate all student artists and are extremely grateful for the artwork displayed in our council hallways with over 90 pieces of impressive new artwork. And
whereas the council extends a special thank you to the Montgomery College Art Department's Dean Frank Teza for his continued support and innovative thinking throughout the development of the program. And whereas the council also extends A big thank you to Professor John Hoover and his team for contributing their time, energy, and artwork to decorate the walls of the council office building. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby celebrates Montgomery College student participants of the Council Arts on the Walls program presented on this 29th day of October in the year 2024 from the entire Montgomery County Council. Thank you and congratulations. And immediately following this picture we're about to take, we'd invite everybody to join us on the 6th floor, where we will have the artists to answer some questions about their magnificent pieces of artwork. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for bringing life and vibrancy to this building. And congratulations, we are now adjourned.